Hey everyone, welcome to Dad Level Podcast, episode 93. This week we want to discuss a movie that I've been waiting for a while now. I'm glad we finally got it, and that is Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. And we want to talk about some of the news that's coming out for the James Gunn Superman movie. That seems like it's more than just a Superman movie with all this cast of characters. Um, and whatever else we get into. So we hope you enjoy this episode. And guys,
Buckle up.
where do we want to go with this? Do we want to get into Axel? Do we want to save that a little bit? Do
Well,
we
I
want
mean,
to?
like we got so much that
Let,
we've missed
let,
in the interim. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
we've
yeah.
been gone for a
where
while.
where do you
All
where do
right.
you want to start with what to do? Do we
Let's
want to
start
roll
with
back
Axel
and
F because that should be fresh on all of us. And
Okay.
I know it's fresh on me because it was like 6 hours ago that I watched it, and I enjoyed the piss out of it. I
Hey,
can't say it was the greatest piece of celluloid ever committed to film, but it was absolutely a throwback to the early Beverly Hills Cop movies. You know, you had the same core characters. You know, and
The
it did
the same music.
same music.
yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, and there were a lot of peppered bits in there that threw back to the old movies, like Axel's File, like 92, 98, they gave the
Yeah,
years of
yeah.
the movies were released in.
hmm
And I'm thinking, okay, that's a nice little touch. And even Taggart, the guy's looking old, but he still carried the same weight by the end of the movie.
Yeah,
And they did a lot of the same references and stuff like that, and a lot of throwbacks to show you that the same characters, regardless of how much growth they have, they were still the same people at heart, and that was refreshing to me. They learned to, they grew, but they kept the core of the characters as they were. Yes.
I had two things. One, Taggart, leave your wife, stay gone, quit leaving her and coming back, quit leaving her and coming back. Jesus, man. Learn a lesson, why don't you?
Hey, that's
Rosewood,
his
man,
wife is
what
what's
happened?
causing
By
him
the
to have a
time
heart
you were
attack.
in the third one, you were like a police inspector, you were all this stuff, and all of a sudden you look like you found crack in religion and lost both and became a police detective who got ambushed. I was like, man, what happened to what is his name?
Rosewood.
Judge
Reinhold,
what's that?
for one.
Judge Reinhold.
Yeah.
He looked rougher than Taggart did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
fair.
Taggart's much older than he is. I loved it. I thought it was they were hitting too many of the nostalgia buttons. It was like they were like when they were hitting the buttons, and I thought that they could have. I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I've already told you I loved it.
Yeah,
I
I
told you
know.
what I thought.
there's no such thing as
But-
a perfect film. It's fine.
The problem was that it seemed like they were trying too hard to do something without making it fresh, because the story was so similar to what we've seen before. I really wanted to see them stretch it out and go for the gusto. I love the whole thing. Me and Vince have talked for years about the kids, making it about the kids, them being older, their careers, and then these older characters coming back in to help them. I missed Axel's laugh. He gives a kind of a laugh at the beginning, and it's a half-hearted one at the hockey game, and you don't hear it again and throughout the entire movie. And then at the end, when he gets in the car with them, after it's all said and done, and does that throwback to "I ain't gonna fall for no banana up my tailpipe" kind of scene, and they just show him smiling in the back seat because he's like home. I got that, but that is when he should have did the laugh. That would show, because this was an Axel who was not happy with his life.
No.
You could tell that the fun had gone out of his life, and that he was missing something, and he didn't know what it was. He couldn't figure out what he needed. And that would have been a great way to, give your audience something to follow. He's not laughing like he's not enjoying himself. When he walked into the hotel, starts
Yeah, he's like,
do
"Oh,
his
fuck
film,
it."
he goes, man, I'm too friggin' tired
Tired for this.
F this. Just how much is it going to cost me? $900 a night.
I love.
Okay,
I love Beverly Hills.
whatever.
Yeah,
And I
He
was
just
like,
gave up. He was just
you
like,
should have had him.
I will.
I'm too old. You know, I'm too old for this shit. That was his moment, and he didn't do it.
Right. I have to say, Bronson Pinchot as Surge, that was for me one of the highlights of the movie because he knew that he was older. He held on to the core of the character, but he knew that the character had grown and become more in Beverly Hills. And the mirror scene for me just encapsulated it because he knew, because he just was like, he's just like, okay, throwing it around, hot mess, moving on. And that to me, I was just like, yes, that, even though that whole part of it was short, that was one of the most refreshing parts of it for me because he absolutely killed it.
Yeah.
As Dad had said, this movie was very much of a send-off from these characters. I mean, this is the last hurrah. I mean, we're probably not going to get a sequel to this. I'm glad that the characters got to be together. It wasn't Star Wars where it's like they were going to tease them and they don't come together at all. I mean, you got to rehash the moments from both the first two movies that made them great and expand upon it and make what happened to these characters believable. Because it's like, even when Billy gets captured and he's gone most of the movie, it's all like, what happened, man?
And nobody seemed to care about that he was gone.
Yeah.
Only Axel. Right. And then when they were fussing at Axel, I would have said, look, I'm here for you. I came here because I was worried about you. But while y'all are all fighting with each other, Billy is gone. Mm-hmm. Why are we not caring about it? And not even Taggart was concerned.
Right. And that's one of my huge complaints about the original trailer. They gave away that he was okay.
Yes, right. Because you're waiting for that scene, and that scene's at the very ending.
Where you find out, oh God, he's okay. He's not dead. He's not in the ocean.
Right.
He's been tortured, but he's okay. They gave that away in the trailer, very early in the trailer, I might add. Mm-hmm. He says, God, I've missed you, Axel. And having seen the trailer, knowing that I'm watching the movie, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
It took away
the suspense of it.
Yeah.
Well, and they did a setup for that. Like when, what's his name? They're in the bar with, I can't remember the actor, but he's like in everything. And he was sitting there doing his karaoke and he's talking about what happened. They caught him. They caught him in
Gomez.
And he keeps like, the guy who played Gomez in Wednesday. They kept hinting at it and he kept kind of going a little bit further. And I was like, are you going to say it? Are you going to tell me that they killed him? They killed him off scene. At that point, I was going to turn it off. And yet he got around it. And I was like, okay, so that's how I knew he was alive. Mm-hmm. Because if he was dead, that's when we would have got that. So then it would have become a revenge flick.
It would have
instead of what it was.
So,
and
I want to let David say something, but I do want to add the fact that that's one of the problems, I think, with the film is there not enough at stake. You get that there's like this
at times,
stuff that's going on that's like crucial they do it, but it doesn't really go anywhere. I mean, there are some stuff that's in there that's really tense, but it's not like the fact that Bogomel's in the hospital and stuff, and they're trying to stop this stuff from the alphabet crimes. And then same thing with when in the first one, when they get caught, and then Billy's like, all right, what do I do? And he comes in and saves the day. There's not enough of that in the film, other than the fact that like when his daughter gets kidnapped and you see the urgency of him, I got to go do this. I need you to whatever, all stops. I need this happening so I can go save my daughter.
That was one of the things that I told Julie because she's like, well, how was it? And I said, well, it was good. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 because it was projecting a lot of itself.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of it you could read into it quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You knew where it was going. You just had to be patient and wait the ride out.
It was a lot of
was
it was
like-
predictable at times. It was very predictable. I mean, you saw tropes from other movies
Yeah.
written into the script.
Yes, they were taking
And-
stuff from the other films.
Exactly.
Well, not even just this film. There was like stuff from Lethal Weapon in here. I mean, other cop films was in this.
But it borrowed a lot from itself, like the whole point where Axel is trying to fight off. Okay, excuse me, Kevin Bacon. I love you, but you're going to get a bad reputation for just walking through a film. Man, if you're going to play the bad guy, be a bad guy.
Play the
Don't
bad
try to be
guy.
your.
Well,
play
remember
the
that,
bad guy.
but
It
that's the thing is
relished
that he didn't.
role.
If you think about it, though, he really didn't think of himself as a bad guy. He just felt like he was.
No, I
He
just
was
kill
jaded
other
about the
cops.
stuff.
He was
But you know what?
slighted.
He's the villain from Speed. I mean, he's.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
I mean,
I mean,
that-
sure, he wasn't
Stop it.
like chewing scenery the whole
No.
time, right? Like, but he was
No.
he was threatening enough, right, in a very passive way. So, I mean, like, I thought
he was-
Kevin Bacon was fine, right? And that's a lot of this movie is like this movie was just a giant bag of cotton candy, right? Like
Mhm.
it was sweet, it was good, I enjoyed it, had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, I mean, if you want to sit there and really think about it, you're like, I've seen this movie before. Like y'all talking about being worried about Fast Times guy dying. I was like, no, he's fine. Like the whole time. Like and then the second Kevin Bacon walked on screen, I was like, he's the bad guy. Right? It
Yes,
was like
you knew.
Exactly.
yeah.
just immediately you're like,
Yep.
I know. But it was fun, right? Like that was the main thing. Like the chase
Yeah.
scene in the beginning when he's driving the
That first 10 minutes.
snowplow truck and
First 10 minutes.
just plowing through
Now,
everything,
now,
right?
When you when y'all were watching that, were y'all adding up the cost? In my
Oh, yeah.
mind, I was like, okay, car. That's 50,000, 30,000, 20,000,
No, but
50,000
Paul
right there. And I was
Reiser
like, by the
Parking
time
lot.
he was done, that was the entire budget of Detroit City's finances for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
Paul
that
Reiser was
he just
betting him.
bankrupt the city.
That's why Jeffrey had to step down. He had to, did you see the whole thing of like Inspector Todd's picture as they're talking on the wall?
Yes.
It was like he was looking down at him like, I'm tired of y'all shit.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'm sorry, but in 1 and 2, the villains were villains. I mean, there was a
Yes.
risk there. You
Mhm.
felt like somebody could die at any minute. There was like these guys were hardcore. We're gonna take you out if we have to. Both of them. We
Mhm.
got to that third one, and I wasn't really afraid for anybody
no.
because they were all bumbling ex-CIA military, all that stupid stuff that went nowhere. Give them a challenge. If you're going to have all that expertise, man, they should be able to do what they're doing and make it harder for Axel, but they didn't. And this one kind of felt the same way. Immediately he made it was like that. We're not going to make Axel struggle to figure out what's going on. We're going to walk the audience through.
The story.
And that's what they did. They, from when at Billy's house, them guys showing up and him. I got one thing. Every time Axel tried something, everybody knew what he was doing. He was just no good at it. And
Now, I will say this. They had a chance to really make a scene super intense. And that's when the Mexican cartel guys were coming for the hit.
Yeah.
there was a lot at stake
And,
with that
and
one.
JGL was in there and he heard them. Those guys looked pretty badass. And if they could have dialed that thing up to an 11 and really made it intense, but they had to put the bit of levity in there with that dog.
Yes.
Oh, my
for me-
dog saved the day, dearie.
Yeah, the whole thing with the Chihuahua killed it for me because I was like, okay, this is badass. This is what I was looking for, at least in one action sequence. Because these guys are all tattooed and they're like, okay, we're gonna do this.
And the guy had a gold-plated friggin' shotgun, man. I was
Right,
like,
and they were freaking sharp. And it was like, okay, this is gonna be where you get to see Axel be Axel. No, they had to put
No,
a
he got
dog
saved.
park and everything and just fuse it.
Well, yeah, and then the fact that like it was Joseph Gordon-Levitt who saved the day. I mean, it wasn't.
He did it twice.
Yeah.
He did it then, and he
I mean,
did
you
it,
have to
and he was
establish.
like a dead shot every
Oh,
time
yeah.
he shot.
He's
He
a
was
great
taking
shot,
somebody
great
down.
character.
Couldn't fly a helicopter.
But the whole thing after the dog was introduced to that scene, everything just kind of went. That was the only scene where I wasn't sure what was going to happen up until that damn dog showed up. And then I'm like, okay, here's what's going to happen.
When they got in the helicopter, I was like, "Oh, they're gonna do a
That was cool.
Blue Thunder moment,
reference, yeah.
a gunfight in the air with using the building stuff." Man, that would have been just kick butt because we haven't seen anything like that in a while.
No, not in a
No.
while.
You know,
Not in a
and I
long
was like,
time.
man, that would be so unexpected. A big car chase scene with helicopters.
Yes.
No,
And they did it.
not. And then they brought in
No, I'm sorry.
Cutter. What was his name from Happy Madison?
Shooter
He has
McGavin.
Oh,
Shooter
Shooter
McGavin.
Yeah,
Shooter
yeah.
McGavin has
That was a
an
great
appearance.
nod.
Yeah, that was
That was a
hilarious. He's all
great
like,
nod.
but there's some we saved someone. You need to go save her in the helicopter. What are you doing? Take off with.
I'm going to call my lawyer. My assistant will go get her.
Yeah.
That's Shooter McGavin. That was probably the
Yes.
the most non-Adam Sandler moment in freaking cinema history.
Yeah.
Because they just straight up used Shooter McGavin. And I was like laughing my balls off all the way through that because that was exactly, it's like Eddie Murphy got on the phone with Sandler and said, okay, I want to do this. How would we do it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like Sandler walked him through that scene because I laughed so hard through that whole thing. I was like, oh my God, this is great.
I wanted to see a bullet chase scene like from the Stephen King movie Bullet with Axel driving the little police
That was
thing and being chased by all these people. Yet he's using the maneuverability of the
cart.
Police
That
wagon. Cart.
She's
would have
hanging
been
on
just
the edge
awesome.
there. What are you doing? What are you doing?
What was great was at the beginning when he's driving around town. He's in his Chevy crappy blue Nova that he had in the first.
Yeah, well, actually, it wasn't crappy. It was restored.
Yeah, he had fixed it up.
That was actually much better than what he used to have.
Right.
Well, he probably fixed it up, but the first 10 minutes alone are like just a callback because you got both song openings from the first two movies.
Right.
There were
All
four
the same
songs.
movie.
There were four of the first.
The first 20 minutes had
all four songs plus a couple new songs. It even had some of the beats like from 2 and 1. It was just the instrumental music in it was really good. And that was what was nice. It was like we were talking about this the other day, is that films that have music that are a character in the film that bring you in to help with the atmosphere, the tone of the scene and all that stuff. And that's what we got with this.
This was definitely a love letter to the fans.
Yes.
This was them saying, we love you. Thank you for being with us through all of this. This is for you. You know, which is everything we expected from Coming to America too,
and it wasn't.
We didn't get.
It wasn't. It was.
And with Eddie being a executive producer on it, I expected no less from this movie.
Yes. I mean, I think the opportunities that I felt that should have been there, like I felt that Bogermel's daughter should have been in the film, maybe being a partner of Axel's daughter, and then I wanted Inspector Todd's daughter to be in the film as well.
Right.
But that didn't happen, and it's kind of
we don't know that it didn't. It could have been.
It could have been releasing, not happening.
Yeah, it could have been. There's so much stuff left out of movies that they should.
I mean, she could have been the mayor and been like, hey, or whatever.
What would have been funny is we never see what happened to his friend from the first movie, the lady, that introduced him to Surge. It would have been nice to see what she had done with herself. Some of the characters that we met in those movies, I would like to have seen where they went, how they became.
Mm-hmm.
It was great seeing Surge becoming who he was,
and then seeing the future the future version of himself, the lady
of self. Yes. But yeah, there were a few missed opportunities, but overall it was an excellent movie, and I'm ready to watch it again. I've already watched it twice. That's my judge for now is if I watch a movie Am I going to watch it again? There's some movies I've watched once and I'm like, yeah, I'm done. It was nice. I ain't going back. This would be something I could go back on. And I told you this. Whenever I see Beverly Hills Cop 1 or 2, that doesn't matter where it is in the movie, I will sit down and finish watching the whole thing. I cannot do that with the third one. If that third one is on, I'll go, is there anything else on? And start clicking through the remote. The only time I watch it is at the very ending with the fight scene in the park or the beginning scene when Todd gets killed. Because that was a gut punch. That was something that really told you this movie is going to be something different. And then, it was different. All right.
Yeah, all the
whole
darkness was
Wally
at the
World
beginning,
stuff,
everything's
that
light
I
now.
could have gone without it.
Yeah.
But this is something I'll rewatch over and over again, and I'll suggest to people. He hit this one out of the park.
I'd be even willing to bet that if on a second or third rewatch, there's going to be something that you missed in the first one.
Oh yeah, and I could see that.
I mean, because there were a lot of Easter eggs in there. It's like when they showed the Rambo knife, it never occurred to me that's where the microchip was.
Microchip was, yeah.
Yeah.
It never.
And that became a moot point.
Yeah, I was
That
about to say,
became
that
a
didn't
point.
even come
They
up.
never go. They never go back and get that knife. He finds out.
The microchip and what's her name's the guy that she's trying to get out of jail. I kept forgetting that was a plot point. I was like, oh yeah, his daughter's there.
Oh,
she's there for
write
reasons or whatever.
They
But
reference it. They
They
reference
reference
know.
him at the end.
I know that they reference him, but like by the time it came around to that, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's why his daughter's there. I completely forgot about that entire thing of how she's an attorney and trying to get some guy out of this thing. Like, yeah, they would name drop him every now and then, and she would like specifically say like, oh well, we're actually working to get my guy out, right? And that whole thing, it came up a couple times, but yeah, by the time we get to the end of the movie, that microchip and her whole motivation for being there had just
right, and it was just a passing thing. Oh, the DA dropped the charges. Nobody wants to pursue anything. He's free.
Yeah. I would have loved to have seen that it end this way. This would have been my perfect ending. We see Axel. He's recovered. They're eating dinner and they're all talking, and he finds out that his daughter and the other guy are going to get married. And he, instead of going, he goes, I know the perfect place to hold your wedding. It's just the perfect place for it. And then he goes by the house that he had stolen in the second movie and finds out that the owners are gone on vacation again. And so he sets it up and they're having the wedding in the back and the owners show up.
That'd be good.
And they're like, what the hell's going on here? And he's like, I'll be right back in a second. And you see him go off and you see everybody going, and then hold up Mentos. No, I'm joking.
Is that really your uncle's
I would
house?
go with that. I would go with that premise.
Okay.
The minister would be Serge.
So counterpoint is that you go over and you see Joseph Gordon-Levitt, right? And he goes into his apartment and it's kind of dark and dusty and stuff. And he walks over to a bookcase and he moves a book and it opens up and he drops down.
Robin.
And then he's Batman because all y'all want interconnected universe crap. And it turns out this is a part of the Nolanverse.
Bravo. Touche.
Well, he was a marksman in the movie, He was like the best
and
shot.
it turns out that the reason why he could actually fly the helicopter, he was just sandbagging him and trying to pretend like he couldn't.
Yeah, and he was a cop. He's been a cop his whole life.
Yeah.
That's right. There you go. See?
Yeah, he just moved from Gotham to here.
That's right.
California. LA.
That's right.
Awesome.
My only complaint really was that this didn't get to go to theaters.
Yes, it could have made. I think it could have made it.
I think it.
And I'm betting since we are seeing stuff that has been shown on pay-per-view or on streaming services now, making their way to the theater after they get a lot of word of mouth. I bet this ends up back in the theater at some point as an anniversary or something.
Or a marathon thing. Because some theaters up here do marathon things.
And you know what you can make that even better with? The film breaks on the first one, and the third one, and we go, well, the film is broke. We can't show this. We're gonna go straight to the fourth one.
Fourth one. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, sorry, folks, we're just gonna move
on.
on.
Wait a minute. Isn't it on digital? Shut up.
I did love the relationship between him and his daughter. It was very believable. It
Yeah.
wasn't over the top, like something out of Coming to America. I mean, it was like literally what you would see with an estranged father, or it could have been a mother. Honestly, I've
It was
always thought that it it's a trope within Hollywood that usually a male character is going to have a daughter. It's like, why can't they have a son? Why can't they? It's always got to be this whole like, oh, because we can't do that, blah blah blah.
Because
And
macho men have to have a daughter to put them in their place.
right. I will say this: having gone through the estranged parent-child thing, okay, I resonated with that because there's going to be parts where everything will be fine, and there's going to be parts where shit gets brought up
Mhm.
and it falls back down, and then Lego it back together, and it becomes a cyclical thing. I resonated with that. I recognized that. I felt that, and I thought that
Well,
that was one of the truest parts of that whole movie was the fact that they played that throughout the whole movie. They took the whole movie to work on that.
Yeah,
Because
to build their
the
relationship.
those things
two
take
deepest parts, the two deepest parts in that script were when Eddie goes, I was brand new the day you were born. I
Yeah.
became a father the day you were born. And we are not taught to be fathers. We are not perfect at fathers. We learn it as you learn your life.
Yeah.
And then when he goes, I went to therapy, and then she turned around and goes, well, if you go into therapy, you know that the parents are always the one who are responsible, because
They're
they
always
are.
the
They're the
parent, and the
adult,
child's always the
but
child,
and the
no
child
matter
is
the
the
age.
child, and they're the one that's the victim until they become of age. Then they are an adult, and at some point they have to act like an adult and realize that sometimes things aren't perfect. So there was this whole little give and take there that was really emotional, that could have had a little bit more development, a little bit more to it. Because I wanted to know what happened to Eddie's wife. Was she the woman from the third movie that he met through the working at
The
Wally
park, yeah.
World? Yeah. What happened to her? Did she give birth and Eddie raised her as a child and then died, and then somebody else, Eddie couldn't handle having her and being a police officer, so he chose to be a police and let a relative raise her. There were things we never
no,
get to hear.
they did.
But
They
it was
hinted
said.
that her
No, they
mom.
did talk about that.
They
They
talk
talked
about
that he
where
was
the
dealing
mom.
with the cartel, and he had to get his mom, her mom, and her out of Detroit because of what was going on, and they moved him to L.A. They did
And then
talk about that.
he said that it was the mom that because he made the joke that her mom was worse than the cartel.
Yeah.
So
I guess I just didn't hear that
up
part.
to that
Okay.
point, up until the divorce happened, she was alive. Whether or not she was still around, they never explored that. And I will agree with Vince, they didn't explore that. But up until that point, she was still around, and it was still the three of them.
Mm-hmm.
So the mom could be out there. Maybe they're trying to lay groundwork for something to happen down the road. Maybe they just decided, okay, it wasn't a major plot point because it was more about the father-daughter interaction. But
it's funny because I've been watching a lot of stuff on the behind the scenes of making movies and scripts, and like if you think about it, there were a lot of movies that were in production when the writer strike and the actor strike happened, and they rewrote things while they were doing it. So people were working on stuff while that was going on, and because they changed how certain films ended or played out. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes you don't get a chance until you've actually filmed it and you're watching it and you go, you know what, this isn't working. We're going to hear some screen rewrites. Let's go back and do some pickups. We'll see how this works. Okay, well, this works, but now this part of the film doesn't work anymore. It slows it down. So what they film and then refilm and then refilm again is not always what they go into with. Exactly. It can be a totally different film by the time we get to see it. And then we get to spend the rest of our life going, oh, well, what about this? What about that? All of us fans,
and it could be,
we think we're detectives.
It could be cut out, and since it's all digital, they could have been just archived and if it ever makes it to DVD, they'll say, okay, here's your bonus thing. And then what happened to, and what happened to, and here's this, and here's the alternate ending type of thing. So, yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, a lot of it could end up on the cutting room floor. The thing is, there's no cutting room floor anymore. It's all just deleted clips and put into another folder.
Yeah, because like right now, Daredevil, they just released 45 minutes of not Daredevil, Deadpool Wolverine in Europe for test. They got to watch the first 45 minutes of the film at test audiences. We didn't get that here.
Nope.
But because of that, they've gone back and already done some major reshoots and things.
And some upgrades.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, damn. I would have liked to got to see what their original idea was. Well, where were they going with some of this? Because by the time we see it, all that stuff's going to be gone or hidden.
Yeah.
You know.
So let's wrap this part up. So what do we want to rate this? I mean,
I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, watch it, pass.
Watch it,
yeah.
and spread.
Spread the word. Yes, exactly. That's my thing too. Watch it, spread the word. If you're a fan of the franchise, it is really good. This is Eddie Murphy back to form.
Even if you haven't seen it in 20 years, and all you remember is the first couple of bits of the first or second movie, go back and watch it. It'll all come back.
Yeah,
absolutely watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Tell your friends. David.
Yeah, no, definitely go watch it. Like I said, it's a fun time. It's definitely very painting by numbers, but sometimes that it's not bad, right? I mean, they mix in enough new stuff for the characters to have grown from the previous ones to make it not completely just a stale rehash of previous stuff, and it's got enough decent nostalgia beats like y'all are talking that definitely go check it out.
So this is definitely one of the things about this film is that a lot of studios need to take note about what was done here, because we have been getting that with rehashes or retellings or new continued stories with some of the properties we've gotten lately. Especially, Star Wars, Indiana Jones.
I was going to say lately, man, you're talking about like all of J.J. Abrams' career.
Yeah.
Well, except
we talk about taking something and adding to the world to build in the world. Mm-hmm. Axel Foley's world is there. You could build something within this world without tarnishing the other characters that exist, and have them occasionally meet one of these other people, to kind of build out that world a little bit. If you wanted to do a TV series, I could see Axel finally settling down and having
in LA,
being behind a desk and having his own people to deal with, and all those people coming up who are either super intelligent or just like he was streetwise. And he's like, trying to teach them so that they can survive in the new world. And at the same time going, I can't let these young kids show me up. And he's out there trying, you're too old, man. Just stay in the background. That would be a really good TV series. I'd watch a miniseries about that. This is a world you can expand on without ruining what's gone before.
I will say this. One thing that I felt throughout the movie is if they were going to expand it, they could go with his daughter and JGL. Because they were actually, if you look at it,
they're great chemistry. Great chemistry in the film.
As far as when you think Beverly Hills,
he always has great chemistry with women.
If you put him in the lead role of a Beverly Hills Cop, it would work, because they literally, in part of the movie, set it up to where he could be the next generation on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, me and Vince were always talking about flip the script, bringing the guys. They're too old now. Have brought them to Detroit, which is a total different environment for them. They would be coming from a privilege where people act different and everything else, and you stick them, that whole thing. What is it called when you put somebody outside of their element? It's got a term.
Fish out of water kind of thing.
Yeah. That would have been really good for one of the sequels.
Okay, so here's my thing. I've already kind of speak this out to the ether, but I'm gonna do it again here. The guys that did the RoboCop video game that set up the game that kind of was in between 2 and 3, I would love them to take on the role of doing a Beverly Hills Cop game and maybe fill that gap of time with that kind of story where you play Axel going into being a detective, calling in your friends, and you could just have these guys do the voice work for it and have this expanded universe that would work. I would love to play. I want
That's
to
not
play
bad. That's not a bad idea.
a Beverly Hills Cop video game where you
Copyright.
play
Yeah,
Axel and be a detective and all that stuff would be great. Shoot bad guys, put bananas in tailpipes.
drive snowplows through cars.
Yeah.
Take you to a strip club.
Authorizing with
Absolutely.
guns.
Did he take you to a strip club? Ain't gonna take him to a strip club. He had it for my daughter.
He was in there. Yeah, he was.
Why not?
He was
Great scene. Great scene. Great.
oh my god! Wait, I sense some chemistry here. Did you sleep with my daughter?
They
Man.
really played up on that.
It's funny too because like that movie already has like lines we're quoting from it, and that's also something that makes a great film.
exactly. Nostalgia is already
So, and that's something that me and Dad came up with. This is one of the next topic I want to talk about. I figure we'll talk about this for a bit, and then we'll get into the whole Justice League, not Star Wars, but
super.
You mean Super Friends?
Yeah, we're
Super Friends.
Super Friends.
I say Star Wars because it's going to be
Warner
it's going to
Brothers.
be bad, unfortunately.
Super fan.
We'll see, maybe. But the fact that like, does a franchise or film series have a window of time that you can make a sequel for it, or can you wait 30 years to do another sequel and it still have the staying power that it did originally?
Yeah, shelf life. Some
okay.
things have a shelf life.
All right. On one hand, we got Beverly Hills Cop.
Mm-hmm.
Great way to cover 20 plus years.
Yeah.
On this hand, you've got Indiana Jones. Waited too long. Okay. So yes, somewhere in the middle, it is possible. It depends on who's in charge of bringing it up to current.
Well, here's the thing. We know that Indiana Jones waited so long because Harrison Ford was done with Indiana Jones.
Yes.
The minute he said, I don't want to do it anymore, you could have gone back and done a younger version of him that would still fit in. Or you could have found somebody slightly older than Harrison Ford was in The Last Crusade and continued his adventures. We've done it. Star Trek's done it. James Bond's done it. We know that it works. But not always is a character so tied to the role.
I would have liked
to. But Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford, like how well did Solo do with all that, right? I mean,
okay. Wait a minute. Two different director groups, two different production companies. Kathleen
Kaiju Kennedy.
That is what killed.
Kennedy.
That is what killed the Han Solo movie. You don't hire somebody like Ron Howard to bring him in and go save this. He has to be part of it from the beginning. He has to be there to structure it and everything else. And they did not do that. They did the same thing with what's his name with Justice League. Save this. No, these guys when they're doing their own worlds, when they're creating everything, it is fantastic. But when they have to come in and take something that's already there, already has boundaries, and they're forced to work in there, it usually fails. And Aliens worked without Sigourney Weaver if you give it a chance. Yeah. Predator worked without Arnold.
Yeah.
You gave it when you
there was plans for what was it, Predator, where they were on the planet with what's his name?
Predators, where they pluralized it with Robert
Adrian
Rodriguez and what's his
Adrian
face
Brody
from
wasn't bad.
That 70s
with Adrian
show.
Brody. There was plans for a sequel. That script was written. They were going to go into production. He was ready to sign on. Studio decided, no, we're going to reinvent it again. This time we're going to create a super predator, hunting down the other predator, and we're going to have a guy hunting down that predator that's being hunted by the other predator. I'm like, okay,
we're going to have the hunted be the hunted.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, you should have allowed it to go on and progress.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just don't let it go around too long, because then you end up like with Terminators 5, 4, 5, and whatever.
Yeah,
You know, and then it becomes a travesty of itself.
exactly. I only wish that they would have gone to more unusual directors for certain stuff instead of going to like the Joss Whedons and the Blomkamp, whatever. They'd gone to some David.
No.
Blomkamp
I'm gonna tell you
needs to
what.
be the person to do this stuff. He is the weird director that makes.
He's the weird
Right.
director, and he was the only one who had the foresight to create something that got enough buzz in Hollywood that Ridley Scott was afraid, and he was like,
Right.
no, I want to come back. Don't do his,
Too
because
late.
he was about to be overshadowed, not once but twice, because Cameron did it to him with Aliens.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Blomkamp was going to blow both of their movies out of the water and revigorate the whole Alien franchise. And they cut his legs out from underneath him.
Exactly. That's what I want to see. Is I want to see, the unusual. I would have even said, if you'd gone to Quentin Tarantino and say, okay, we want you involved in this, but we want early Quentin Tarantino. Or if they'd gone to David Lynch and say, you know what, I want Twin Peaks.
He was busy making Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, the thing is, I would have.
David Lynch.
David Lynch is he's in the end one of the characters. He's an actor. He plays one of the characters in Discovery,
Yeah.
And you find out he is a time traveler from Enterprise, the very first series that had Scott Bakula in it. So he's been around through the entire history of Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why does that guy look so familiar? Why does he talk so familiar? Friggin' in. That was David. That was friggin' David Lynch. Oh my gosh.
I mean,
And
I
he
love
talked about
David
his
Lynch.
favorite roles.
And I would love to see the outliers. Okay, the guys who come up with
Checking
the
it up
bizarre
online.
stuff. Early M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. Okay, the first couple of movies he did, out of the box thinking. Put him in a Star Wars movie, but you have to stick to those parameters. Go back to David Lynch. Like Twin Peaks and On the Air and stuff like that. Okay, we want you to take Star Wars. We want early David Lynch.
So, but that's
Really give it some edge.
Well, that's
we tried that with
though.
Star Trek. We gave it over to Quentin Tarantino, and Quentin Tarantino turned it into a gun shootout, bloody thing in the
I'd have paid attention.
future West. And I was like,
I'd have watched it.
You know what? I could live with that.
I would have watched it.
There's
Bring in Samuel L. Jackson. Come on.
There's a place in that universe for a dark gun
had
fight.
enough of these MF tribbles on this MF ship.
Look, but okay, we got to look at it this way. At least some of those directors understand when they're playing in a sandbox to use the tools of the sandbox to tell their story, or to build their worlds to tell their story.
Or you have to respect that sandbox.
You have to respect
what was created before.
It wasn't your sandbox to begin with. You're just playing it. Exactly.
Correct. So, but
some directors get that, and some of them just go, all right, I want to sift out all this sand, and I'm going to bring in this organic, freaking free range sand.
I'm gonna sift through this sand until look, there's a turd.
Yeah,
this is what we're gonna do.
We're gonna build a house of sheep. No, sorry.
You have too many cats in your sandbox. I'm gonna start over.
Hey man, that's not a sandbox.
Organic gluten.
That's a calorie box.
Sand.
Oh no! If you have an outdoor sandbox and there's cats in your neighborhood, that's a litter box.
That's a litter box.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, honey, put that down. That's not a Tootsie Roll. Put it down. Get it out of your hand.
No. I don't want to polish that. Put it back.
Anyway, but we're at this point now too where we have passed the time when we can remake these films, because actors that we grew up with that would be part of these roles for these characters have passed away, i.e. David Warner for the new Tron film. We knew he was still alive in the Tron Legacy, but of course Disney start farting around with making
Still.
Star Wars and ruining it, but also made great Marvel content until they ruined that too.
No, people made it and then they bought it, and then the people that were still in charge slapped Disney's hands every time it kept coming. It was like until we at least got to the end of it, and then once they really got in control, that
right. Well,
drove it
that's what
right
I'm
into the
talking
ground.
about. That's what I'm talking about. But we don't even have him to reprise his role from the original film. And we talked about this.
But we were just saying how we can recast people, right?
Well,
We
yeah, you're gonna
could.
have,
Yeah, you really could. You could make him a digital world because we know there's an alternate version of him within that digital world of
correct.
Warner.
Right?
He could have jumped over to another, system and has been in hiding, and then would have just created a digital one with his voice.
Well,
I
we
mean, they
know
do it all the
his
time,
son.
but
His
Again,
son
that gets into
existed
that sketchy territory with the AI stuff.
with Chili Murphy.
yeah, I can't wait till
But then
all
we
that
have.
really gets me to come to the head.
I just don't know what they're going to do because you're not going to have. Are you going to get the guy who played Sam to come back for this film, or is it just going to
Nope,
be
it's
another
supposed to be an
Jared
all new
Leto,
character.
a Jared
Yeah, it's
Leto
Jared
vehicle?
Leto.
And it's like, okay, this could be good or could be bad.
He'll have a
bad.
glowing hand that goes like this instead of one with a smiling face on it.
Oh,
No, the problem for me with this stuff is that culture changes. How we perceive things, what was funny once to an older people are now considered offensive
Mhm.
to another. Some films cannot be remade because it's just not socially appropriate
yeah.
subject matter anymore.
Well,
And if
it's
you
also
take
just
that,
not. It's also just not in the zeitgeist, right?
yeah,
I mean, there are certain styles of film that they would not be able to be a big budget movie because they've gone from a big budget status to more of a niche type of audience, right? Like Kevin Costner found that out the hard way by trying to put out
Oh,
that
God,
huge
yeah.
yeah,
western that bombed, right?
his epic.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
big epic western that just kind of
Opus is the
crapped
word
the
I'm
bed
looking
as it
for.
came out the
He
gate
needs to
because
stop with the
because
big.
you can't really get away with huge big budget westerns these days. Like
Well, see,
all the ones
Thing
that have
is-
succeeded have been indie passion films, right? Like Bone Tomahawk and all that
oh
kind
yeah,
of stuff.
but
That
westerns come into the zeitgeist and we love it. Americans love it, and then all of a sudden it becomes blasé. Oh, we're not into that anymore.
Yeah,
So it's
cycles
very You have to catch it when it's on its rise, and
Mhm.
you can't do a big 3-film epic like that and try to catch that wave. You have to be making a statement. That would have been better on television as a mini series
Or
than
Netflix.
in the theater.
and I think in his mind he was seeing the success that came from Yellowstone, thinking, okay, people are back for westerns. And not really. They're
Mm-mm.
more in
No.
it's more we're still in the age of like neo-western type of stuff, which is what
Yeah.
Yellowstone is more akin to.
Yeah, should have
Right?
been more
And
Sardana.
so I do agree that there is a level of you can't do certain things the way that we did before, but also it's just the tastes of current audiences is different, right? Like I don't know that Indiana Jones really gets that much hype because I don't know that pulp type of stories are still a really sought after thing in the current climate of movies that we have. Like, would I love to see them? Sure, but I'm also of that particular group that enjoys that style of story.
But I think
don't
there
know.
are directors who actually are able to use elements from pulp, from noir,
Sure.
in modern films in an effective way, and people
that's
don't even
where you
realize
get-
what they're watching anymore.
But that's where you have neo noirs and stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? Where
Right.
it's not a traditional
subject.
noir. It's Drive. It's God, what else is there? Like movies like that where there's a bunch of elements of stuff that we know and we
Mhm.
see in these movies, but it's not that. And if you were to turn around and try to make Double Indemnity today,
Oh,
right?
That would never work. No.
Right, it wouldn't work because it's just not what people want to watch right now. I would be on board.
And the
for it,
fact
but
that that's not how the law works. You can't be tried for the
I-
exact same crime, but if you like, I tried to murder you, and you lived, but I thought it was you were murdered, and I was convicted. You were found to be alive, so my conviction was thrown out. That's fine. I cannot be rearrested for murdering you unless I murder you again.
Or for the
You
first
know,
I'll bring you back to life
or
and do
for
it.
the
No.
first time. You know, so yeah, I mean, there's something that the
Well, no, that's
audiences
double
are
jeopardy.
just
You're talking
double
about double
jeopardy is the
jeopardy.
one I'm thinking of. Yeah, but there's some things that audiences are too smart for now that used to you could slip by, and now they'll like catch it
You-
and then
Yeah.
Really good.
suspension of disbelief. That is gone now.
Thank you, brother.
The fact that we have so much instant
Yeah.
gratification being attempted,
What?
the suspension of disbelief is gone.
Well,
You have
and
to be able to properly harness the nostalgia of something like Axel F did to be able to say, okay, here's this. Yeah, okay, you know what? A lot of things aren't like this. The suspension of disbelief says, okay, we're going to watch Axel destroy a bunch of cars with a snowplow. Why? Because that's what Axel does.
so
Yeah.
I mean, look, there is a formula out there somewhere that we've lost that people haven't been able to refine, and that's that we can still do suspension of disbelief, but there has to be a fun factor that comes into it, right? And you have
Correct.
to meet a level of that, right? Where like a
Yeah.
lot of the stuff that comes out these days is there's so much just kind of noise that builds up in your brain because you're like, well, that doesn't make sense, and that's like the fifth plot hole in the last 15 minutes. Like, what's going on? I really hope they explain this by the end, but then you get to the end, you're like, well, but what happened with this and this and this? And your brain is so sucked away trying to, spending
Solve the
all of its
problem.
processing power
Exactly.
trying to just go, well, no, just constantly doing that. Whereas some movies you can go, that's dumb, but it's awesome that they did that. It makes
It
absolutely
looks-
no
you,
sense,
Yeah,
you're
but it's great,
willing,
right? And it's
Yeah,
it's
if you're
trying,
enjoying
it's
it,
trying
Last
to do
willing
Jedi.
to
that
forgive
balance.
a lot.
The Last Jedi was
Yeah.
the one, the one that pulled me out every moment of that film because it's like this doesn't work like this in this universe. What do you mean you can drop bombs in space? I mean, how is
Oh,
this?
let's not go
How
here
is this?
again.
How is
Let's
this?
not-
No.
How is this lady who's only trained 3 days to be a Jedi can beat royal guards that have been training since they were children? I don't understand. It's
Right.
like having
So,
a little
but
child go
No,
up against Green
but if
Berets and thinking
I
he's
still
going to
haven't
win.
seen
Somebody shut his
Sorry,
mic off.
I had to get my
yeah,
rant in.
turn it down. But yeah, but I mean
Still have not seen
that's what it comes down to, right? So I don't know that it's people are smarter. I mean, you definitely have to be a little bit more clever with how you're playing hide the ball with some depending on the type of story that you want to tell, right? You need to be a little bit more clever about how you're going about it. But I mean, just like the Beverly Hills Cop movie again. The second Kevin Bacon walks on the screen, I'm
You knew he was
like,
the villain.
a
You
bad
knew he was
guy.
the villain.
He is instantly the
Yeah.
bad guy. I knew it, and so
Everybody knew that.
but
But there are some guys that are so good at being a villain, you relish the opportunity to get
Okay.
to watch
Yes,
them
sure.
do their
but
stuff.
but even if he wasn't this Michael Ironside level fun villain to watch,
Yeah.
as long as he's not distracting in that role, right? Then
Right.
then I can look and be like, that's the villain. But as it progresses along, I can be like, oh, okay, and now we're hitting this story beat and that story beat. And even though it's drumming, like I'm sitting here following along to
Excuse me,
the
Ron.
beat of this
Well, I
movie,
had a little bit of this.
as long as I'm still in it, as long as I'm still having fun with
Right.
it, even if I'm not like super invested, if I'm still having fun, if it's still entertaining, then
still
then I can roll with it. And it just seems like I think to the main complaint that I seem to come to with a lot of movies and TV shows these days is just they feel so rushed to the end of things that's
Yes.
what winds up happening is you sit there and you're watching it and you're like, oh, okay, we had this moment happen and now we're over here in like step D. Well, what happened to B and C?
B and
Like, we
C,
skipped
yeah.
two whole
Short
steps,
attention span
and all of
theater.
a sudden we're
Yeah,
right
that's
here.
exactly
Like,
what it
that
is.
doesn't
Is
make
they're
sense.
trying to. They know their audience
Yeah.
Is getting
has a
bored.
short attention span, so
Mhm.
they're trying to get through it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, well,
know.
Michael Rooker just came out with a quote where he was complaining about how movies these days are all 90 minutes long because the TikTok generation can't sit down and pay attention to a film for long enough.
I understand. I completely agree with that because that's what it is. You swipe for a minute and you just keep swiping. If it's not within that 30 seconds, if it doesn't hook you, you just swipe on.
Yeah, it's the hook that
And
gets you.
that's what happens on
If you can
YouTube.
invest into that hook, and then they can entertain you through the remainder of it, people will stick around.
Mhm.
But if you do that hook just to get them in, and then they realize, oh, this is not what
This
I
is
thought it
clickbait,
was.
yeah.
they're moving on.
Mhm.
Can I add something real quick? Going back to Axel F. One of the thugs, one of the main guys under Kevin Bacon, was an actor named Mark Pellegrino. Okay, he was like the number 2 guy. He was the boss.
Yeah, you're talking about the dude,
The one with the scar.
from Lost.
Yes.
He played the main villain in Lost.
He played Lucifer in Supernatural. He's put on a little weight since then. Fantastic actor. Knows how to play serious, knows how to play comedy. Okay, knows how to roll with it. He helped carry the movie both as a bad guy and as a character who was interesting. And that is something that we're sorely missing from a lot of movies now.
Well, all the characters
try to cram all this stuff into there so much time.
Right. So all the characters
Victim,
in the films were really good. That was what was so really good about Axel F was because of the fact that all of them, all the characters, even the bad guys, had great personalities. They were well written. They were very believable. It was like there was no
filler.
lack of a better term, like fake characters to fit a demographic that you're
some
trying
of the
to...
villains were in this, like the 3 cops, the ones who were the main guys, henchmen.
Yeah,
they were very cookie cutter. That's the thing, is we have a lot of victims that are cookie cutter. We have a lot of the villains are cookie cutter, and the heroes are cookie cutter. And only one or 2 characters in the film are actually given any depth, any breadth, any character. And if you're going to be in a world that feels alive, everybody has to feel like they're a living person. That is why you hired character actors to fill out your cast. And if you're just getting people who are just, a smile, or I know that person, he looks like a villain. He just looks like a villain.
Too much of a character actor.
Mm-hmm.
And then he opens his mouth and he sounds like Pee Wee Herman. No, you've got to blown that image. But I want to say, there's a movie coming out which I'm looking forward to and terrified at the same time, and it's Liam Neeson playing Leslie Nielsen's role in.
Oh God, yes, the Naked Gun.
Naked Gun. All right, and our humor is not there anymore.
No.
Movies like Airplane and all those other ones, they would not survive today. No, and that's very much what that comedy is.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So I'm like,
other stuff.
What is going to happen here with this? They can't do what people who love the old stuff are going to expect.
They can't do Tropic Thunder again. They can't do
Tropic
Blazing Thunder. I mean, Blazing
So is it going to be something tongue-in-cheek, where that's kind of semi-serious, but it's more tongue-in-cheek instead of over-the-top, humorous,
I mean,
where's my light
humorous? You're just doing another one of the scary movies, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm afraid. I'm like, I would have preferred to just let them live in infamy and not try to remake them, because I just can't see that working as a film today.
At least not like what you're saying, not with the same personality to the film.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
because no one needs a dark and gritty Naked Gun.
No, and let me tell you, we got that. What was the one with was a knockoff of Lethal Weapon with Martin, not Charlie Sheen's brother, Emilio Estevez.
You're talking about Loaded Weapon?
Playing Loaded Weapon.
Loaded Weapon was okay.
Yeah.
It had,
but that started the whole parody thing, and that's another thing too, because there's like the parodies and there's the parodies of the parodies.
Well, all of them are parodies. I mean, I did not know this. There was a French film, a real serious French film about an airplane that people eat the fish on the plane. They all get sick. There's a World War II pilot on the plane who is actually at odds with his commander, who is the guy who works for the airport. It's going to dropping. That is the entire plot of freaking Airplane. So if you put them on screen and watch them side by side, shot for shot, it's exactly the same thing, except for some of the stuff in the tower with the one dude going, what does it say on the range?
I picked the wrong day.
Well, that was Lloyd Bridges, man. He was a serious actor. I picked the wrong day to quit smoking cigarettes. I picked the wrong day sniffing glue. Pick the wrong day to quit. You took somebody who everybody knows is a very serious actor and gave him comedy, and all of a sudden he was in all those other movies. Mm-hmm. The Charlie Sheen movies that were rip-offs of Top Gun.
Oh, Oh,
Hot Shots.
Hot Shots Part
Hot
2.
Shots, yeah. And Leslie Nielsen was a famous leading man back in his day.
Yeah.
And as he got older, he
Golden
became a
Comic
villain.
back
He
then.
became a villain,
Hmm.
but he had always had a sense of humor.
Yeah.
I mean, for as long as I know him, he carried that fart machine around with him, and he would go on not even Letterman, even as far back as Johnny Carson, and he'd reach over for a cup and go, and he'd look around and pretend like nobody noticed it. You know, and so it was a natural for him to move into comedy because that's what he wanted. And what got him his break was Mr. Magoo. You know,
Well, the sad thing too is like we can't even get Monty Python type comedy anymore.
no, the Python couldn't exist anymore. Benny Hill definitely
No.
couldn't exist
Kids in the
anymore.
Hall can't exist at all. I mean, and
Everybody gets insulted by everything. Oh my God,
Yeah.
you breathed. I'm insulted.
well, that's a whole other
So,
stuff.
but that goes back to what we're saying. Because of that, certain movies cannot be made. Certain genres cannot be done. So we either have to come up with new genres or we just need to let the old ones go. Or come out and honestly say, you know, we're so
Creatively
bankrupt of any ideas, we're just going to rip off everything that's ever gone before.
I mean,
Yeah, nothing new
again,
under the
you
sun.
can get away with some of these types of movies that are kind of from bygone eras, but they're not going to be big movies. They're going to be, indie passion projects that are going to be made on like niche budgets, right? And that's what those are going to be. That's where the indie market will have to fill
Mhm.
that need until, one has a breakout moment that's enough to crack into people's minds and actually pull them into that style of
The
movie
theater,
again.
Well, and
But
that's the one good thing about like YouTube is the fact that like we didn't, what it took Kevin Smith like selling a bunch of stuff to like get his first movie made and having to go through all the hoops and everything. But it's like YouTube, we can literally just make a film and just upload it. We don't have to worry about, you know, getting publishing rights and getting it in theaters and all this other stuff.
foreign films.
Hmm.
You know, getting into like the Hindu and some of the other adventure movies or the superhero movies and all that other stuff. It's hard to watch everything in, where you have to read the subtext or the whatever we call it, captioning.
subtitles.
Except, and sometimes it goes fast, too fast. They talk depending on the culture. Some of them are like da 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 da, and it's like you're like, okay, I'm just gonna look at the pictures. And they're on their budgets. Some of their films are comparable to what you get from big tentpole films. Not quite as good. They're like a few years behind us, but they're good. Their stories are good. And their characters are good. And I'm like, so it's funny if you can watch how other nations are either catching up to us or getting into their own, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
And yet we seem to be lost. We seem to be wandering in the desert for 40 years.
Well, I mean, so again, it depends on like what we're talking about, right? Like, yeah, big budget movies. It's everything is all about the return on your investment, right?
Hmm.
And so all these studios are getting involved with it, and they're micromanaging them to death. And you're not getting directors that are actually passionate about it. And the few that you do, like with Star Wars, right, they get run off because they're not willing to take the notes that the studios are giving them, or there's a bunch of backroom politicking that's going on that's messing up this stuff. Uh, but again, man, if you go like what we talked about or earlier, not like what was it earlier this year, but like you had The Creator, right? That came out and that was a great movie.
Fantastic.
But what
We
was
loved
it?
it.
It was but what was it? It was an indie film, right? That's where you're getting all this awesome stuff over in the other nations because they're able to pump this stuff out and it's all passion projects for them, right? I mean, I'm sure there's still big studio investment and all that stuff on it, but because they're finding their voice, there's a lot more passion that's involved in, these films. There's a lot more of their voice they're able to get through. I mean, like, friggin' Korea's been killing it with horror movies for, good Lord,
For
like over a
decades, yeah.
decade now, right? I mean, it's been crazy. And then you just had what's his name? Dave Patel, right? Who just put out The Monkey Man.
Yeah.
And I was walking through Walmart. I saw that sitting on the shelf. I bought it and I watched it just a couple days ago. It's a really good movie. I don't know that I would describe it as the Indian John Wick because it's not exactly that, but
Yeah.
it is a really fun action movie that is definitely kind of pointed politically to stuff that's going on over there, but it's still a solid action flick. The characters in it are a lot of fun. Like the action in it's a lot of fun, right? But again, it was a passion project, right? It was something that he felt really involved with and was able to go out there and I guess through the successes of other movies that he's been able to do, was able to produce that and direct it and get it done, right? But I mean that's where it's we got to get big money out of movies.
Well,
Is
yeah,
really
because they're
what
not
it feels
making.
like.
I mean, there was a story that dropped today that I put in the Discord about Sony stopping production of the
Oh, the
Blu-ray disc.
Blu-ray thing. I read that.
Yeah.
So I
Pissed me
saw
right
I
off.
saw
What?
that, and then I saw a follow-up to that where it's not that they're stopping creation of commercial Blu-rays. So like the video games and the DVDs, it's more of like the stuff that you can personally go out and buy and do like read write and all that stuff too. Is the way it seemed like someone came behind that story and they might have just been doing damage control, but
I think they were doing damage control because there's been other um, companies that are talking about getting rid of any kind of hard copy and
Of any
fully
kind
going
of media.
digital
Mhm.
of any kind of media. And so this isn't new. I think that was, them going, oh, we don't mean that. We're going to be,
And there was
and
a
while they're in the behind the scenes, they're still
backlash.
going towards and doing.
Well, and we know that like Disney, and I mentioned this too, that Disney's given Sony all the rights to publish or produce all
It's
of
all the
it.
distribution rights.
Yeah. So, but I mean that's a whole thing too. I mean,
And here's the rumor. If Disney doesn't get out of the financial hole it's in, they may sell Marvel to Sony, which is something Sony
has been
would
wanting.
love
Yes,
to happen.
has been wanting.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I did not like Madam Web. I sat and watched it with my granddaughter,
I haven't watched
who loved it. Alice loved it, and I was like, "Where's Spider-Man?
it.
What is
you
this
ask
whole
her-
thing? What is this? Why do you make stuff in the Marvel universe, and it's the Marvel universe, but you're gonna go and try to distance it so far that you're lost in the woods."
it's not the Marvel universe, it's the Smarvel universe because it's Sony. It's Sony's Marvel universe.
Marvel.
So it's the
Marvel.
Smarvel universe. That's where you have
Okay.
your Venom, that's where you have your Morbius, and that's where you have your Madam Web.
I like
Spider-Man doesn't
that.
exist
Oh, it
in that
is. It's all
universe.
the same universe. Yeah.
Coin
Yeah.
copyright.
And if you watch the
Marvel
beginning of their
Raven.
movies, their Marvel movies now, it says a Marvel Association.
Yeah.
So, did you ask Alice what she
She liked the
about
whole
film?
story. She liked
Go grab
everything.
her.
She liked the three girls. Alice,
It was girl power. That's what it was.
she's playing video game.
It's fine. No, just
Hey,
just
come here,
ask
come
her
here,
another
come
time.
I would like to hear her opinion on it.
Come here. We'll put you on stage. Come here. They have a question for you.
Hello.
Hi, sweetie.
Hey, Alice.
Question for you. What did you think of Madam Web?
Oh, it was an awesome movie. I loved it.
So, what did you love about it? What were things
Yeah,
that
what was
stood
it?
out?
What about it really made it jump out for you?
That all of that Madam Web didn't get her powers straight away, and she had to work on them before she mastered them and get new powers.
I just have to give her a clap on that. That
Well done.
a character actually has to work to learn how to do something and not miraculously be good at it. Okay, sorry, I had to say that. What was
Anything
your favorite
else
part
you
in the
really
movie?
liked about it?
I liked whenever the woman ran over the bad guy,
Bad guy.
I
but
haven't
somehow
seen
he
it.
was still alive.
Okay,
I mean, bad guys always gotta still be alive, right?
Yeah,
It's just
they have
it's a
to.
rule of film.
it's the rule of horror movies or bad guys in movies anyway.
I didn't want to call him Spider-Man because he's not Spider-Man, but he
Right.
wore a spider
Ezekiel
suit.
Sims, right?
Huh?
Ezekiel Sims, was that his name in it?
I
Bad
think
guy?
so. Yeah, I think so.
in the comic books, he had really big feet, but he didn't in the movie. So
I'm glad you liked it. That's all that matters.
Yeah,
I mean, it found an audience, but it is what it is. So
Yeah.
thank you for letting us know.
thank you, sweetie.
Thank you. She's so excited.
See,
She just
that's
can't
part of what
hide
this
it.
podcast is about.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's the thing. At the bottom, look, at the end of the day, yes, there are going to be films that we may not like, that a generation of people will. But unfortunately, there's some things out there that when you take away the people that have been paying the bill and you only want to get this one group of people that don't do any of the things that the other group did. Like, Alice isn't going to go buy the toys. Alice is
No,
going to
she's
go
not even
read the
interested in
comics.
those.
She's not going to go buy the movie. It's like it's pointless when you make something for a group of people that aren't going to fund the next.
But hold on. The thing is it's a great stepping stone to introduce the next generation, because as soon as Alice
True.
watched it, she was like, so who is Madam Web?
Mm-hmm.
And how does she work in the comics? So then I had to go and explain that. No, she's like, oh, I like that. And then she was like, well, how does that connect with this? I said, you know what? I can show you some of the comics. You can go online and find them. You can read them yourself.
The world.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
But this goes back to that whole
but-
thing that you guys said or before, is that missed opportunity that none of the comics are running anything with Madam Web. So people who watch this movie want to know more could go read.
You can't find it,
Yeah, you can't find it. You can't even find back issues for it unless you go and get
Right,
the digital.
unless you know somebody who knows something.
Correct.
Or you're willing to drop $25, $40, $30 to get an omnibus or a collected edition of something.
Exactly.
Right.
And
And
without the prior knowledge of what omnibus to go look for,
I mean,
you would not know.
the best
they
thing
don't
you got
have
though
wrap-up bins
is
to
look
go and
up.
say, oh, here's this and this.
Right.
You know, and what's also sad to me is like, and it's terrifying to me, I really think Craven is going to be good. I think of all the Sony movies, it will probably be the best
Craven.
one that comes out.
Craven the Hunter.
Craven the Hunter. But they keep thinking with it. It's been finished. Why are they messing with it? What are you waiting for? What? Just release it so we can get it. The whole introduction of Rhino this time, instead of a suit like he was in Amazing Spider-Man, where his skin, you want to know why they call me Rhino, and all of a sudden you see his arm do that, become the Rhino skin, and it gets masked, and then it cuts off. I'm like, oh right, man, just give me the friggin' movie. You know, I don't know if it's the deal with Marvel, so they're blocking it. I don't know what Sony's up with it, but I know that Sony is so afraid because the last few movies they've put out have been Marvel movies, have been bombs, that maybe they're gonna try to overwork this to be the best thing, and by overworking it, it becomes a piece of garbage.
Well, that's true too. And then we don't even know what Venom 3 is going to be, so we've only seen the trailer for it.
The trailer looks good, but it clearly sets up the fact that it's the end.
Yeah,
and they've gone out and said, yeah, this is it. Whether or not they're going to try and port that over to MCU via Deadpool, or
I don't know. No, it would have to be through Deadpool, because they've already ruined that. They set it up to go into the Marvel the universe with those little segments, but now that's gone, because you find out that thing that was on the bar gets captured by a security officer who was hunting for Eddie Brock, and he was never in the MCU to begin with. So what was he watching on television?
Yeah.
They tried to retcon it themselves, but something tells me that's going to be an after credit stinger. Yeah. It's going to be something that shows up in a Deadpool thing, or it's going to be something. There's more to it than that. They're trying to, again, sleight of hand, wag the dog. Show this up front, pay attention to this, but it's actually going to be this.
Well, that's what they've been doing with Deadpool and Wolverine previews all along.
Which is what we talked about before you hopped up.
Yeah.
We went through all those scenarios.
Well, and on top of that,
I'm
we
just
got
looking
the
for the
rumors
Hulk.
of
Is if
the
it's going to
Hulk in the
be Ed
movie.
Norton's Hulk. If it's going to be Ed Norton's Hulk, kill him right off.
No,
And
I
just
think it's
hack
gonna
him to pieces.
be,
If it's going to
maybe
be,
Eric Bana or Gray Hulk or
let's
Old
see.
Man.
And what I'm thinking, if it was Eric Bana, that would be epic because the Hulk gets bigger.
The
That
more
they
he
went
gets
to
angry.
classic in that. So in the classic Hulk, the angrier he got, the bigger he got,
The more mass, the
and
more
the more
stronger he got.
powerful. And so I want to see Wolverine keep pissing off the Hulk, and he gets to be that huge, monstrous dude. Eric,
You know
if
what?
they end up doing the Mark Ruffalo Hulk, I think it's going to be too cerebral in the fight.
Yeah,
You know what? It'd be great if it's Mr. Fix It first, and then
right.
he pisses him off, and then they
Then
start
he
going toe to
becomes-
toe. Then he becomes the Green Hulk. He knocks out the
you know
personality.
that's something to think about. Eric Bana's Hulk closely reflected the old Hulk. The more angry he got, the bigger he got. The more gamma, the bigger he got. What if the fight with him and Deadpool gets to be so much that it triggers the thing in the void? Because you see scenes with that thing in the void.
Oh yeah, the thing that was from
Loki.
from the Loki series. Yeah, I can't remember what his
if you
name
had
is.
something that was just so obviously not meant to be there that it triggers that? And what if that is the reason that you see it coming in the movie, and then they go through the portal because of that?
Well, from what I've heard is that the portal scenes we've actually witnessed is an Avengers, the final Avengers movie kind, where like
Yeah.
remember when they were fighting Thanos on the planet
Yeah, it's another
on
portal
Earth,
that
and then
opens up.
all those portals opened up where
Yep.
people come through. We're going to get something very similar to that in this. And
But
we're
what
going to
if they
see
tie the two
multiples
pieces?
of like X-Men, multiples of other characters from all these universes just pouring in to try to do something. I
Yeah.
just don't know how this ties everything together because this is the kicking off point.
Yeah, they're
So-
saying that this movie is going to resonate for some time.
For some
Levy
time, yeah.
says
Why not
that-
have Maestro in it then? They
Couldn't-
jump into the future and
Well, since it's a dead world that they're on, it's
Yeah.
the junk world.
could happen.
Why not make it one of Hulk's inbred babies that he had with She-Hulk
What if it's
from
Eric's,
old
what if
old
it-
man Logan?
oh man,
Yeah, what if
Logan.
it's Eric Bana's Hulk, who is actually old Hulk from Old Man Logan?
You know what they could really do that would mess people up? Have it come in and it's friggin' Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk from the old TV series.
Yeah.
See, now that is a possibility too, but it would have. I think that the video you posted earlier, you shared with the guy in the cage, the second cage. I think that's closer to what on the money as far as who that is. I think that's another Bruce Banner.
Yeah, it is. It's supposed to be the one there.
Right.
And those two bubbles that are drug up.
I think that one's the closest theory. The other one that I shared was pretty close, and the guy made a good argument for Hulk being there. But I think that might be it's whatever Bruce Banner that is in that cage is going to determine what Hulk we see.
Yeah.
And it's because there's so much elements from the Old Man series, like the Ant-Man and the
It's full of them.
there's so many clear indicators to that I think it's going to be the Hulk, the Maestro, the end of the time Hulk that we see. And he eventually does die in the comic books.
So you got to
Yeah, but he dies when the Earth was dying.
Exactly. But
The Maestro version dies, but then there's the Forever Hulk, which actually outlives Banner, and he's left on the Earth with cockroaches that talk to him, and eventually the Earth gets consumed by the sun.
Well,
And
and
that's
there's
how
also
Hulk
29,
dies.
the 2099 version too,
Right, but then again,
which ends up fighting Maestro and dying.
But unless Marvel's willing to look that far forward, which I don't think they are, you're going to get some variation of the Old Man Hulk from one of the existing ones. Lou Ferrigno is an option, but I'm thinking it's going to tie back to Eric Bana.
Yeah, all along what Marvel has done is they've looked at Ultimates universe and brought them with the classic Marvel and then whatever they're currently doing, so that you can tie them all together, so audiences who don't have the knowledge of the past and never read the Ultimates still get an idea of what it looks like what they're reading in the comics. So they've always done a real good job of mixing those three to give us the stories that we've gotten. You can just look at Iron Man to see that. The the commercials that are coming out for Daredevil with Coca-Cola and
the Coke
Colossus,
yeah,
all that stuff in other countries and some of the toy commercials, they get that stuff long before the film is finished.
Yeah.
It's from the first draft, so they advertise stuff that may not make it in, but sometimes it does make it in. I mean, like we learned about how Godzilla, the first American Godzilla movie, was going to look like from a toy ad in a magazine that said, "Hey, for Christmas we're going to have the Godzilla. This is what he's going to look like." People saw that and lost their friggin' mind. Contacted the studio and they were like, no, that was a promotional toy. It was a promotional. That is not what it's going to look like. Trust us.
And that's
Trust
what it looked like.
us. That's exactly what it looked like.
Yeah, like Optimus Prime with flames, right? Michael Bay, huh? Looking at you for that horrible series of films. Anyway,
you know who I just was watching an interview with? It was a director. Oh, Anthony. It wasn't a director. It was Anthony Hopkins. He loves Michael Bay. He's the reason why he did. What was it? The fifth one, the Knights one, where he was telling the history of, and he was like, he's just a great director. I relished the opportunity to work with him. What do they got you on, Anthony Hopkins?
Yeah.
But you've been smoking.
You know that I found out too that the Cogman, his robot, was supposed to be a headmaster, and that he was supposed to jump on that car and turn into an actual I'm like that. Why wasn't that in the movie? I mean, the movie. I mean, just
he was my favorite because he was a foul mouth Autobot. Man, I was like, yeah, I could live with that.
Yeah. What's it? Given today's climate,
well, you could have had a cliff jumper, but they didn't put him in the film. I got Megatron in my viewfinder.
I did not mean to get you started on this. Everybody forget I said anything with Transformers or Michael Bay.
I have two sore spots in my life today that I deal with, and that is the fact that we didn't get a good Transformers film, and other than the '86 film, and Disney got the rights for Star Wars. Anyway,
so here I've got one. Here's a conversation. When should Michael Bay have quit his career? After he did Island? What do you think was the last good Michael Bay film?
What was before Turtles?
Don't even bring those up. Those movies don't exist.
What was before?
That's another series.
Transformers, yeah.
Okay, and then before Transformers.
It probably would have been. Well, he did Bad Boys 3, and that was pretty bad.
Let's go take a look. Okay, so hold on. I got his filmography. Okay, so we're gonna start at the beginning, right? So we've got Bad Boys, The Rock.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I could. The Rock has to exist. It's awesome.
It's a good one.
Armageddon.
Of course, dear boy.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
Armageddon.
Don't want to miss a thing. Anyway,
Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor was good, but the love story thing.
No, it was not.
That whole I
love story was the movie.
That
love story was the movie. That's what made it so awful.
On the field. Flag on the field.
You broke bro code. You do not go after your best friend's girl.
I loved all the World War II scenes, the fights, and that stuff.
Sure, yeah. If you cut out 80% of the movie,
rid of all of that.
Right.
I know. I'm with you.
Yeah. We're not starting. Anyway,
I mean, if you compare that to
David.
Private Ryan, and then you stuck a love story in there and broke up Saving Private Ryan.
Again,
you're talking about Spielberg. You're talking about Spielberg versus
Flag on the field. Come on,
Michael Bay.
Okay.
All right. So we've already got our first with Pearl Harbor, right? Bad Boys 2. Okay. We're still in the green, right? Then we have The Island,
which is fantastic. I think is his best film.
Still in the green, and then we get Transformers. All right, now we're starting to hit the skids. Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, I think the lowest point of the
The
entire
worst,
franchise.
worst with
franchise,
the
Autobot
skids and
Heaven
Mudflap
and
the
yes,
the Devastator with balls. No.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
it was Transformers meets ER, or whatever the hospital that what's his name was from.
yeah.
Where he played a doctor.
So then we got Dark of the Moon, right? Okay, so you had to barely step to clear the bar of Revenge of the Fallen.
Yes.
Pain and Gain. I don't even remember this movie.
That was the one with Mark.
No, that was
Mark Wahlberg
Marky and is that The Rock?
Yeah.
The Rock. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay.
Football
and
game.
Anthony
Football
Mackie.
movie.
What the
Yes.
hell?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I never
football.
even saw that movie.
I didn't watch it either. Don't worry.
Y'all are all right. So then we got Age of Extinction. Oh wait, no. What the hell? This is missing like all kinds of stuff. What is this?
This is IMDb?
No, this is okay. Here we go.
That's your problem. That's your problem. You go to IMDb.
The hell? Oh no, this is just. I could have sworn he directed the those god awful Turtles movies, but he just produced them.
No,
so
he
direct.
He had
a hand in
he
those movies.
had total control on the
Over
first
those.
one
Heavy hand.
because he overrode the look. He wanted him to be aliens.
Yeah, that's fine, but
and all
he
that other
didn't.
Stuff,
He
yeah.
didn't direct them.
No, but he might as well have.
He-
with as much
dude,
Okay,
I'm
but-
sorry.
directors he put in.
All right, so what credits do y'all want me to read from? The ones that
No,
he
keep
directed?
going.
or
No,
that
I
he
want you. I
pseudo
want to
directed.
direct.
Keep
Keep going.
No,
Keep
no.
going.
Anything that he had control over. Yeah, keep
going.
going. I think
Well,
you're good.
that's a
Top of the
broad
island.
statement. Anyway, so then we got I did Age of Extinction, right? He directed that one. 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi.
That's with the guy who played Reed Richards. What's his name from Quiet Place? It's about the soldiers that were outside of the embassy who were going. We need to go in and save them.
Good? Is it a good movie?
It's okay if you're into a propaganda film that tries to say we should have gone in and helped the people in the embassy. It was
okay.
No.
So then we have Transformers: The Last Night. Okay, and then
I would prefer the other movie.
6 Underground, and then Ambulance.
Ambulance was good. That was the one with what's his name? The guy from the new Roadhouse.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. And he sets up his friend or his like half brother, step brother, and they're going to rob a place because the step brother needs money for his daughter. It's a setup.
So
it was decent. It was a Michael Bay film because there's a lot of cops blowing up cars and explosions.
Yeah, a lot of explosions. Okay, that's
well, there you go.
And
So those are his directed movies. So
all right, so I'm going back to the island.
Yeah, the island.
Yeah,
I think you should have stopped at Island. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Island should have been it.
Yeah, because then after that it's just a bunch of production stuff. He helped produce the new Friday the 13th, which that remake where he's like hauling ass and just murdering the crap out of people. Horseman. Apparently he produced the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street as well. I Am Number 4.
Well,
the
that's
Purge
his production
movies.
company. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Ninja
matter.
Turtles, Ouija, Project Almanac.
All right.
Yeah. all that
Ouija.
stuff.
Let's
Okay, but
this
hold on.
topic.
He did give us Megan Fox a moment of thanks and prayer.
No.
No,
He gave us Scarlett Johansson first and the island.
She was hot for like a minute.
Scarlett Johansson's 100% better. No.
Oh, I know. I agree. But Scarlett Johansson was around long before that. So
Megan Fox was hot for like a minute. I'm sorry.
Look, Dad, she's the same age as my sister.
who? Megan
Scarlett
Fox?
Johansson. No, Scarlett
I know,
Johansson.
but she was as a child actor. She was around.
Oh
a
yeah, she was around a long
before
time.
that.
Yeah.
Man, she was an eight-legged freak as a
yes.
teenager. Yeah, don't
Yeah.
even start with me.
I mean, I think the funniest is oh crap, the guy from Sopranos.
I've never seen that movie.
And Billy Bob. Oh my God, what is that
That's
one called?
The one where they're the assassins, right?
All right, this one's gonna drive me nuts.
Here we go. We're on a rabbit hole, guys.
Yeah. Googling. Y'all keep talking. I'm gonna go find this.
Well, because we're gonna get into this whole thing, and you're gonna just completely go on a side tangent. You're like, what can I put in this hand that'll make me forget about
That's gonna make you
the man who wasn't there.
Or
The
wag
man-
the
I
dog.
can't do it
the-
anymore.
Or
My
wag
voice
the
isn't
dog.
there anymore.
More flag on the field. I'm
The
sorry.
man So I found it. The man who wasn't there. The man who wasn't there. She
Man,
had
wasn't
a
there? Yeah.
unfortunate part in that movie.
Okay. All right. So, moving on to the third and final topic tonight is
All right,
all
tickets.
the
Hang on.
DC movie cinematic universe stuff that's been going on with James Gunn and everything. So, yeah, let's talk about that super suit.
I am 100% behind James Gunn. I trust him. Every time somebody's badmouthed him or said that he's not going to accomplish what he does, he gives us gold. So I'm going to let him go. Let's see. All we're seeing are production images before special effects, before all that stuff. And they did the same thing with Henry Cavill. When he was in his suit, it didn't look very good in the early images. As they cleaned it up, it looked really good and made him look super muscular. So give it a chance. Okay.
All I can think of, hold on. All I can think of is, hey Doc, it doesn't fit.
Yeah. And then you've got whoever the guy is in the gray suit with the white thing, a triangle thing on the front of him, with the bowl cut. That is not Nathan Fillion. I know that people keep saying that's Green Lantern, but
no, that's
like
Nathan. That's
Fillion.
Guy Gardner, Nathan Fillion. We've looked at
what did they do? Did they got him in a super
blonde.
girdle?
He's not
because
even he's not even a ginger anymore. He's a blonde guy.
No. I'm talking about Nathan Fillion. Last movie I saw him in was a TV series. He had a gut. And all of a sudden now he looks like a teenager in that.
No, remember
you were being generous.
He
sir.
did Guardians 3. He was in that.
No, he was in Suicide Squad.
He was in Suicide Squad, and he was in Guardians 3.
Oh, was he?
He was in
Guardians 3.
He wasn't in Guardians 3.
Guard
yeah, he was one of the security guards. He wore that armor or whatever.
Arms fall off.
Yeah. So, okay, but I like they've got the Ultra Soldiers, which Ultraman, and they're going to have the alternate evil version of the Super Justice League in this. They've got
we were talking
Mr. Terrific.
I saw that.
Mr. Terrific looks great.
I saw Falcon was in this movie,
and he's a combination of the original and then the guy who came later in the comics. So I thought they did a good job of melding that in.
Mr. Terrific looks awesome.
He looks perfect.
Some kind of flight suit.
Yeah, like the flight suit's a little interesting, but I mean,
weird.
overall the suit looks like the suit overall is the most comic accurate of all the ones they have in here. Like by far,
and that's
it nails
saying something because the Mr. Terrific that they had in the CW stuff was on point.
Yeah, but he played There's two different Mr. Terrific. The character from the CW series was the brother, who appeared in the later comics. This guy is the original character, but his costume is kind of a melding of all of the ones he has, all the best attributes.
Yeah, but it's also a Maxwell Lord issue outfit.
Yeah. So
I mean, Mr. Terrific looks great. I cannot. And actually, before we fired this up, I was looking back over the pictures, and I'm trying to figure out what the heck they're doing because Hawkgirl and Lantern are wearing the same outfit. Like if you go and you look at it, they're actually wearing the exact same outfit. The color scheme is just different. And on Hawkgirl's shoulder, she has the hawk symbol, where Lantern has the lantern symbol. So,
they're government? Well, from what I've heard, they're government agents, and this is the heroes work for Maxwell Lord and the government. The Justice League is that kind of a thing, and then there's a whole evil side to that, which I think we're going to find out is the government itself.
Sure.
So wait, Amanda Waller's not involved in this at all?
Oh, she will be.
She's going to show up.
It's Waller, and we already know that they're coming out with a TV show after the Creature Commander is all about Amanda Waller. So I mean, man, I just
let it go, David. Let it go.
I just want a good Superman movie. Like that's it. I just want
a
good Superman movie. I don't want 30 fucking characters in this show. I just want Superman. How hard is that? I don't need
here's the problem.
East. I don't need the Authority. I don't need Amanda Waller. I don't need the government. I just want Superman.
And Lex
It should
Luthor.
not
Don't
be
forget
hard.
Lex Luthor's
Yeah,
in
you need
here.
Lex
I,
in there.
no, I don't even need Lex. Throw me Brainiac. Give me Metallo.
Yeah,
I
I
would
wanted
take
I
Brainiac.
don't
That's
care.
Metallo would be great.
Brainiac,
Get Parasite,
a good
right? Like
version of
Yeah,
Brainiac.
Parasite. Yeah.
do those. It would be great. I don't know why the first thing we're getting from this new DC universe is 30 characters. Like I
Because
get it's James Gunn
DC
style.
fans don't have the patience for anything, and they wanted this.
No,
They
DC.
drove that
No. DC doesn't have the patience for anything. DC didn't have the patience to actually like slow roll out the Snyder stuff. They ran right into trying to follow Marvel as fast as they could.
Okay, wait a minute.
And-
Wait a minute. Let me correct you there. Snyder couldn't do movies because he didn't want to follow Marvel's, so he didn't give us the Wonder Woman movie. That was somebody else who
Yeah,
gave
I
us
know,
the
I
Wonder
got
Woman.
it,
He didn't
but-
give us any of that. But wait, no. So he wanted to go directly to the darkest version of these characters, right? Which then would show the end of the earth, only so that one of the characters would go back in time and change everything that he had done, so that he would then give us the actual universe. Go back and reread all the damn script.
That was not my argument. My argument was we went from Superman straight into BVS, and then we went to Wonder Woman because they had to get going. There needed to be another Superman movie in there. There needed to be a solo Batman movie in there, and they just rushed right into it.
Yeah,
because
I
they
know.
were playing catch up to
That
Marvel.
was all Snyder's idea.
I get all the rest of that. I don't care, but it's like that's my problem. Is why? Because we're barely. Are we gonna get? How well are we gonna get to know this Superman? I know you have a lot of faith in James Gunn, but I'm not a big fan of his style. I did the Guardian. I'm on record as saying this before. Guardians of the Galaxy was the first Marvel movie that I can recall walking out of saying to myself, I don't know if I like that movie. That was the first one. And everyone looked confused at me, but me and my brother both came out of that movie and said, I don't know if I like that movie. And everyone said we were crazy. Oh, it's the greatest one. It's the best Marvel movie they've ever done. And then what happened? Every Marvel movie after that used Guardians as a template of, and that's what killed it for me.
No,
because
you're
all
right,
of a sudden
because
it was humor
they
everywhere.
forgot that the other characters were their own characters, and they just started trying to be formulaic.
Yeah.
We're gonna make it all like this.
Yeah,
you know,
and it became frustrating. So look, I don't know how much of it is I immediately got tired of that style because all Marvel movies turned into James Gunn movies or Joss Whedon movies. And so as the other Guardians movies came out and as the Suicide Squad came out, I just watched them and was like, I hate this formula, this format. I'm not a fan of this. So I'm hoping that this movie turns out well. I am guardedly looking at things and trying not to get high expectations.
Mhm.
Like Colin brought up the fact that there's supposed to be a second Green Lantern in the movie. And I went and I looked it up, and there's a picture of Superman kneeling down talking to a squirrel. If that's Chip,
it's the squirrel Green Lantern.
If that's Chip,
and there's a female too.
Instead, I don't care. I don't care.
Wait a minute, wait.
I don't
remember
care.
the girlfriend of Hal Jordan?
I don't
remember
care.
the one that Hal Jordan dated.
I don't care.
Do you remember the one that he
Chip,
dated? That
are you? Yes, Arisia.
She's in this. She's in this.
God.
Remember the one you hated?
She's
in this.
They
one.
just cast her.
No, I don't. That's so much worse. That's so much worse. Why? Anyways, but so if that's Chip, if that's legitimately Chip, and that's just not Superman talking to a squirrel for no reason. If that's Chip and this being James Gunn, I'm half worried that we're going to see Chip die by getting hit by a bus, right? Because canonically in the comics, that's what happens to Chip. Chip gets hit by a bus because Green Lanterns are weak to yellow. So some part of me is deathly afraid that I'm going to see Chip get run over by a bus because James Gunn can't help himself. And so it's stuff like that I look at this ensemble, gigantic cast, and apparently growing cast of characters, and I just think to myself, how is this movie not 3.5 hours long? And what are we going to get out of it? So I'm trying my best not to hate it before it hits.
Hold on. This is what Gunn recently said. This is a established universe with multiple heroes, and you cannot have a major battle going on where only one hero shows up.
Marvel,
they're all going to get involved. until a point. After the introductory movies for each one of those characters, everybody was crossing over into them. And you know what else with Marvel? When they tried to go dark with
where
the
were
dark,
the Avengers
the dark
during?
Thor,
Where were the Avengers during Winter Soldier when they were about to take out like everybody with the giant airships? Where was Doctor Strange? Where was the Hulk? Like, where were they?
remember they said, "Why don't we bring in the Avengers?" Because they were scattered all over.
So let's
All
give
right,
some
but
BS
and
reasons
okay,
to not
the same
involve
thing.
them, and we can
Where's
wash our hands of
Metropolis?
it.
It's right across the river from
From
Gotham.
Gotham. Yeah, I
So
know.
if
So why
Superman is
is
fighting an alien invasion, is Batman going to go, I'm going to just sit here and watch? He's out on the friggin' Wayne Manor with a sippy
I
cup
mean,
watching
that's what
Superman
happens in the comics
fight.
all the time.
Yeah,
So,
no, Batman shows up.
yeah, he
Green
shows up,
Arrow
but not
and
all
Green
the time.
Lantern would
But
show
not
up.
all the time.
Now that's something I brought up earlier before you got on there, Vince. There's so much misdirected. They're focusing on 5 characters. What don't they want us to see? It's whack dog stuff. Is Batman going to make it? I'm thinking Batman's already been cast. They're just not saying anything. I'm thinking Wonder Woman's been cast. They're not going to say anything. They already announced that the Creature Commando voice actors are going to be the actors.
All right, I'm
Who
here.
play them in the film.
I'm here.
Oh, look,
right.
there's Batman.
Yay.
Batman.
No. All right, I
Put
just
on
had to
a
do
few-
that since we're talking about Batman being.
So-
I need to get in shape. I'll be Batman.
And like, and we're not getting an. We're not. They're not giving us origin films. These
No,
are
they're
fine
not.
with
We're
that.
just going right
I'm fine
into
with
it.
that. Yeah,
We're going
no,
straight
absolutely,
in. That's fine.
100%.
We've already had
I'm
origin stories.
completely
That's
good
fine.
with that. Run right into it. Just go sprinting right into the character. I am perfectly on board with that. Again, what I don't need is
You just
30
don't
other
like films
characters.
where there's multiple characters and they kind of rob from each other from the
Yes.
focal point of the film.
For-
I know,
if-
I got
with
your
the
number.
start, with this being the start, it's like if Captain America: The First Avenger started off with Falcon and some reason Hulk's there.
No,
and,
no, he ended up with the Howling
Dr. Strange
Commando.
came back in time and is
He
doing
ended
some
up
bullshit.
with in Captain America: The First film. There was the Howling Commandos.
Yep.
There
Which
was the
are,
British
from that
guy.
time period.
Wait a minute. Wait. There was what was the guy? The British guy who was not Captain Britain, but the other one. Union Jack was in it. They didn't have him
Namor?
in his Union Jack outfit in it.
Namor would have
So
been.
there
And
were
how much
the original Black Panther.
and how much did each of those people take up in terms of screen time? Right?
only in
Like,
the fight scenes where they were taking out the major base to stop.
there you go.
Free
So
Bucky.
So do you think that that's going to be the type of exposure
I don't think
these
that. Yeah,
characters
I
are gonna
think
get
part
in
of this
movie?
film is going to be him
Interact.
wandering and trying to become who he is, because they show him being Clark. They show bylines from him in some of the previews. They're going to play up on Clark Kent a hell of a lot more than what's his name did. Clark is going to be the anchor, and he's going to be reporting about all these other heroes doing this. The one thing is that heroes existed before Superman happened. Then they did the revamp, and then Superman appeared first. Because he appeared first, all of a sudden all these heroes started popping up, and they blamed Superman.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, the Green Lantern, I have hope for. I like the idea of Hal being a seasoned Green Lantern and taking
You're talking about the
John
TV show?
Stewart. Yeah, the TV show. And John Stewart being new, and they're detectives. And it's going to be them playing off of each other, where Hal is the old rugged, streetwise, I've done this before. And then John Stewart's going to be coming in with the whole new perspective. And the whole thing is not playing up on the fact that they're Green Lanterns. They're trying to solve a crime that plays a big, important thing into this overall picture that Gunn and what's his name are trying to build here. This is not just one film. This is a series of stories that all interplay together to give us,
which
a
is
bigger
what David
product.
hates.
What
David
have
hates that.
I
I know,
complained about
yeah.
multiple times of I just want to see these good I just want to see good movies. That's all. I don't need all this interconnective tissue.
You don't
between
like
everything.
connected tissues. I understand.
I mean, when it's done well, that's fine. But at this point, at the end of all of Marvel's stuff, I'm just kind of burned out on it. I just want DC to put out good movies. That's it. So yeah, if the Green Lantern show comes out and it's great, even though I don't know how you're going to really utilize a lot of Lantern stuff in a TV show terrestrially, right? Because if it was oh God, what's the name of the show? God, it just wrapped up. It was on. They had to move it to Prime. It was based on a book series. It dealt with like Mars and oh my God, why
Was
can't I
it the
think
one
of
about
this?
the water?
No,
On
it had
Mars?
it had the original. It had Tom Jane in it for a couple seasons. It starts with an E, I want to say. Wow, I can't even think of this stupid show.
Not
But
Expanse, right? It was
yes, no, The Expanse,
Expanse.
right?
Okay.
Where Tom Jane is on a space station and he's like going around trying to figure things out. If it was more that, I'd be more interested in it. But the fact that it's an Earth terrestrial, it was what I knew they were gonna do. They just said, "Hey, we're gonna do True Detective, but they're gonna have Green Lantern rings, and so they're gonna do Green Lantern kind of things with the rings on the Earth." I'm like, I guess, right? If it ever gets made, I will give it a shot because I love Lantern. He's my
Oh, it's
favorite
getting
hero.
made.
Huh?
Some of this stuff is already well into production.
Look, I've been getting told that
So
there's
He
a
doesn't want to
Green
get
Lantern
burned,
TV
Dad.
show getting made
He
for
has to be skeptic.
It
a
has to be
while now.
on
So
screen.
until I see credits roll after the first
No,
episode,
okay. So then
I
what you
don't believe
say
in this.
is
He needs a
until it
ticket
is
in hand.
released. No, wait a minute. Until it is released and in our hands, then I
Yeah.
won't believe it. But things
Correct.
can be being made and stuck in
Development
production
hell
development hell
Yeah.
forever, and then they
Yeah.
come out like The Crow, and they come
Or
out
they
like
never see the
Highlanders
light of
coming
day.
out.
Or they never
And,
see the light of day. And that's why I'm not gonna put a lot of my time and energy and thoughts into that show.
Dad,
I
you
know
gotta
what's coming.
understand. David's put a lot of years into him looking like Hal Jordan.
I know.
He's
That's
literally like ready to take on the
No,
ring
look,
He's ready for that
and
ring
go
to come
fly in
out.
space and be.
this could be the greatest Lantern show of all time, and I'm still just gonna come out and be like, yeah, that was good. I'm not gonna give this huge like uproarious like celebratory thing.
No, he's going to
If
show up. He's going to be wearing his Green Lantern underoos. He's going to have the ring on his finger. I give it a 5 out of 4. A 4
That's
out
right.
of 5.
I'm gonna have a
Five
shelf
out
where
of
I'm gonna have all the batteries, just
Yeah.
like full size batteries, just all the way around me. Be like,
No,
I thought
you're
it was
just gonna be
okay.
sitting inside of a
That's
battery.
right.
Yeah,
He's
that's
gonna, but
right.
remember, he's got to do this first. He's got to go like this.
That's right. That's
Oh,
right.
that's Superman. Don't do that. That's Clark Kent.
Well, no,
No,
I'll
no,
have
no, it's
I'll
actually-
actually go out and spend the money to have my my lenses placed into a domino mask so that I can wear that.
You wear it.
Yeah.
Just
That's right. Yeah. No, but yeah. I mean,
Sorry,
again,
guys, I can't
it's-
do the podcast. I got to go take care of something.
right. Just gotta hold up the ring. It just starts flashing at
It
me
just
and be
starts
like,
glowing.
I gotta
you
go.
do
Sorry,
like
guys.
this, and it puts the outfit on you.
That's one
You see this
thing
glow
about
go
All
around
of a
you.
sudden you hear
every
this guy,
version.
you know,
Every
back
version of
to back
Lantern,
talking to him.
they've never quite nailed the whole idea of the fact that the ring is constantly, feeding them information, telling them stuff, how much charge they have.
No, it's almost
all that-
sentient. Like what's his
Yeah.
name? Booster Gold's little thing.
Oh wow, like Skeets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's one thing that they've never done, and it's just like the reason why I don't think they ever did Deathlock, because there's no way to have that in a film where you have a cybernetic entity living within you that talks to you within your head. He had a living computer in him that talked to him, and they came close in Blue Beetle. I thought they did a pretty decent job of it, where the suit was talking to him.
You had, technically, in a way, you had what was the assistant for Peter in the first movie when he got the suit.
Jarvis?
Yeah,
the female
was
suit.
it Jarvis?
No, well, it was an offshoot of the Jarvis, but it was the
program,
female voice.
Yeah.
It was after and Jarvis got killed, and then Tony got the new one, which was the female voice. He gave Peter in his suit a version of that voice.
Yeah.
But that's different, because they hear that Peter didn't hear it in his head; he heard it through his mask, his
Yeah, to the
costume.
suit. Right.
You know, Iron Man heard it through his costume, his suit. People like Hal, people like who was I just talking about? Deathlock and these other characters. That's in their head. Like Miguel. I mean, is it Miguel who was Jaime? He was hearing it in his head. Nobody else around him heard it. Now, the sad part is what you would see on the street is a guy talking to himself. Are you talking to me? That should have been in that movie where he's like talking to the suit and some guy standing next to him goes, "Are you talking to me?"
What?
And he's like not even paying attention to him. He goes, "You talking to me?" No. And it takes off to fly. It's really hard to do that in a film. That's why, and a lot of people don't like monologuing. So, you know, that was one of the things people hated about Blade Runner. They said that Harrison Ford's monologuing over it destroyed the film, but I actually liked that because that's how the old detective
very
show
noir stuff.
Yeah, I thought that was.
I think the main complaints I've always heard is that Harrison Ford sounds like he's very much phoning in.
He's phoning it in, and also on top of the fact that it was the studio that made them do that versus what Ridley had in mind when he was.
Yeah, Ridley filmed it without it. His first cut was there was no monologue. I mean, there's nothing. And it made it kind of hard to. There are certain emotional things that you were supposed to catch, and people weren't catching it. So during test audience, and so they felt they needed something to help bring the audience along, you know. But
it's such a drastic departure from the book, anyway.
Oh yeah, it was not
married, and then
it was not Electric Sheep. No, it wasn't, and he was a grizzled, overweight, old guy who was an old cop who terminated those things, and he just did it for the money.
Yeah, he became the machine. Yeah,
yeah. His wife was plugged in and tuned out, and he had to keep paying so that she could afford to be juiced up.
Good old PKD.
Right.
David inspired me to go back and reread Starship Troopers the other day.
Oh yeah.
I was like, because I was like, man, me and him are so different on what we got out of it. And I see what you were talking about.
No, it is definitely boot camp because it's like they have one mission and everything is just the training up to that point.
And then you're right about to go fight the bugs and bookends, and you're like,
what
the heck? Okay, I guess. I mean, if I had just read the book without seeing the movie, it probably would have hit me differently. But if you come from the movie to the book, it is just a weird moment.
Well, you got to remember when I read that, I was young, I was into science fiction, and your mind reads into things. And years later, you've built up that story and the voice and the characters in your head. Same thing with Puppet Masters. The first time I went, I knew it existed, but I never saw it. So I went and watched the movie when it came out with Donald Sutherland. Then I was like, okay, now I'm going to go ahead, and I bought it and I read it. And I was like, man, this is so totally different. But when you look at when he wrote that and the stuff he predicted, like telephones, flying cars, but society and all these things that exist now that he was predicting back then. But the fact that he thought by the end of his book, everybody would walk around butt naked because we'd grown beyond clothing after having to strip down all the time as to go anywhere because they were always in search of the bugs, the puppet masters,
the parasites. Yeah.
So I was like, that would never happen.
That would never happen anyway. Because like we live in, some of us live in harsh climates. I was like, what are you gonna do? Oh yeah, I'm gonna walk around nude in the freezing temperatures.
It was a bunch of free
there was
love
a lot
70s
of
guys in California, right? They were just like, I mean, even Heinlein got into his weird what was it called? Stranger in a Strange Land, right? Or it was the alien, like they just it was the 70s, man. They got kind of weird, and they just wanted to be naked and having fun all the time.
We definitely go into these tangents, definitely, for sure.
Yeah, we do. Sometimes
and it wouldn't be an episode of that little podcast without us going on tangents that go beyond what our topics were for the episode. So
we
walk
started with Superman, and now we're talking about.
We covered the topics.
Yes, we did. You walk in.
Yeah, we did cover the
topics.
You walk into an office, they go, "Oh, swimming." Yeah, a little bit of shrinkage. Cold
Little
outside.
outside.
It's
If you're
98
watching
degrees
this
out
right
there.
now,
I'm a-
you've stayed along this far. Give yourself a gold star and tell us your
then
thoughts.
yeah, tell us what your thoughts are down below. If you made it this far, also like just come up with something weird we talked about that may not have even been in the episode, just to make people like watch the episode to go see what they can find if that happened or not. Be great.
If you
Yeah.
if you like these tangents and you enjoy watching us go out and make fools of ourselves, why don't you give us some suggestions? And we would be glad to jump in with both feet.
That's right.
Yeah,
Give us a diving board,
we'll dive into
jump
that
off.
topic, whatever it is. Maybe
Don't say whatever it is. You may
No,
get
no,
you may get
okay.
what you asked
Okay.
for.
Hey, wait,
Let's put some boundaries
I
on
dipped my toe in. I'm done. All right.
Let's put some boundaries on that.
Yeah. We have some boundaries.
Okay. I'm gonna say no politics on mine. Vince,
Yeah.
what's your boundary?
I mean, it's the stuff to keep to keep conversation civil, right, around family and all that. It's like-
Yeah. That's mine. And no politics, unless they're dropping bombs at your door and you go, "I can't talk tonight. I'm going to my bomb shelter. Y'all, good luck. See you on the other side."
That's right. If it's raining men and
If it's raining men,
If it's raining,
go outside with an umbrella and turn it upside down.
that's right. Put on your best makeup and woo.
And then I could go and do a Robin Williams skit right now,
Oh.
and I'm not going to do it.
I'd like to say that. I'd like to say this just a little thing. I just found out a few days ago that Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, is getting a sequel.
Wow, who are they
Adventures
going
of
to?
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. All the original cast is coming back.
That was the one with. Well, you can't. That was the
Guy-
one with Snipes.
No,
Right?
no. That was Wong Fu.
With- That one.
No,
Okay,
two
two
Wong
Wong
Fu.
Fu.
Guy
Thanks
who,
for. Okay, yeah.
Agent Smith,
Hugo
and
Weaving.
Terrence
Okay.
Howard,
You were leaving.
and the guy, this guy something. He
Guy
was
Ritchie?
in Memento. He was in Memento.
Guy
Oh,
Pearce.
Guy Pearce.
Yes, the three of them are coming back, and they're doing a sequel.
Wait, who's the
I
person in the
could-
middle?
Okay, it was Terrence Stamp,
Terrence Stamp. Yeah.
Guy
Okay.
Pierce,
Guy,
And Hugo
and then
Weaving.
It was,
Hugo
Hugo
Weaving.
Weaving.
Hugo Weaving. The three of them are coming back for it. And
Yeah, I thought we were talking
I
about the
have
other
to
ones.
say-
Man, you got to have some connections to bring Patrick Swayze back.
They're going to do with a Ouija board. But
Hey, they're gonna
that's
go
beside-
through Ghost. To bring us
He's
That's
in.
gonna
beside-
appear.
that's
He's
He's
beside
gonna
the
gonna appear as
appear
a clay.
in that movie, and then he'll.
He's gonna appear as a clay pot that moves on its own.
Yeah, Monty Python has. But no, I have to say that as far as it's not a remake, it's a sequel.
It
And
is a
that's like
sequel.
30 years, and honestly, that's going to be a benchmark for me to see how
Better
well
hurry up because Terrence Stamp is getting old, man.
Hugo Weaving's getting up there too. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to pan out as far as being able to bridge that gap, whether or not they're going to be able to give characters growth, whether or not it's going to be a rehash. Are they going to be able to give us the Axel Foley or the Axel F treatment? So
We'll see.
It depends if, it's what with Lethal Weapon 5. Everybody's coming back for that, even the director. So
Yeah.
that's part of it. You got to have
you got to have the right people on board.
right people that know.
Well,
what
I mean, let me ask you a question. Y'all saw Train Spotting, the first movie, right?
Yes.
Did you see the sequel, Train Spotting 2, when they all came back older?
Nope.
Because I think sometimes they nailed the first one, what they were trying to do, and I thought sometimes it was a little off. Because the actors weren't the same, and they, some of the things they had, the characters had grown and changed their life. They weren't those three guys from the first film.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, you got to understand, sometimes the actors change. They don't, their whole, actors are always changing their style, always trying to learn and improve their skill. And sometimes I think it ruins them.
That's very true.
Sometimes it doesn't. I think actors should, I think the actors who have a history and have come from the stage
Mm-hmm.
are much better than the more visceral actors who just come off just come out of nowhere and then had just hit a role that makes their career. I don't know. That was a tangent I went off in my head, and I had
No,
to
that's
express
okay.
it. So
I mean, there's definitely some more topics we need to talk about. I actually have the next 4 episodes recorded, I believe. We were supposed to do our whole final review on the X-Men 97.
97.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
why can't we do that after the season 2 comes out?
I mean, we may forget. I don't want to have to watch that series again before season 2 comes out, or when season 2 comes out. I want to
Y'all can do that.
burn that in my head and then watch it. What else?
I do enough ranting about something and I hate it.
Well, and we got
series.
the part 3 for Crisis on Infinite Earths stuff.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that.
yeah,
Just
I'm
can't
looking
wait.
forward to the third part, but Vince made a great point a couple weeks back when we discovered that there was going to be the set of DVDs and Blu-ray before or shortly after the third one came out, and his point was, what a way to kill the third part expectation, because you already know that there's going to be this and that involved. And
what does that say about their faith in it?
What? Say it again, Dan.
I said, what does that say about their faith in the third film? If you think it's good, well, I mean, not everybody's a big fan.
It's
but
weird
it's
weird to release your third film by itself and then sell a trilogy of them together
at the same time.
At the same time, why
happens.
wait? Maybe wait till Christmas as a gift set or something. Because I mean, I don't know. It's definitely weird.
it was off-putting.
Yeah.
Well, it's like me and David said. It just seems like a money grab,
Right. It is. It definitely is a money grab. I mean, because are they going to sell the case for those of us that ended up buying the disc?
Well, that's what they should do. If they're going to have a box set for 3, they should have the third one in the exact same box set, but with 2 open spaces, so that you can insert those in there, and you have the set.
I'm glad that y'all hold. I'm glad that y'all still have hope in humanity. It's very heartwarming.
You got to have hope.
Look, David,
you got to have hope.
I know that you're ready for the apocalypse. You're like,
I'm ready for it.
I know when.
Hey, look,
world ends,
every night I go out
all
and
the
root
board
for
games
the
I
Astros,
want,
I'm gonna tell you.
and we're gonna play until we die. We're just gonna play board games.
That's right.
I have food stored, I have water stored for like 28 years. I may not even live that long, but it'll be enough for my kids to like survive a little bit until they can get on their own.
Well, Burl trekked a little bit more to the east in terms of the way that they're projecting. So yeah, we could be dealing with some fun times coming here soon.
Yeah, as of Monday.
You know what? I look at life like the guy from Day of the Dead. If you're going to get attacked by a bunch of zombies that you screwed over everybody else to get away from, and you think that you taught the zombie how to shoot that ended up shooting you, and you think you're going to crawl your way to the escape door, and you open it and you get surprised by a hall full of zombies, just tell them to choke on you. Choke on me. That is true optimism.
I'll let you stand outside in the hurricane and shout that at it. But
yeah.
I've been outside in a hurricane.
Swallow me up
in a hurricane.
Take me.
I've also watched a tornado come from across the street towards me, and had my head against the window watching it skip over a building, and then all of a sudden I thought the little guy that's supposed to be my self-preservation was like, "Excuse me, that's a tornado."
Do you have a moment, sir?
Can we talk about? Lord and
Savior. You have a moment to talk about our life.
Because you're about to meet him. You're about to meet him. And I was like, oh, I should be heading towards the stairs. It was just something I've never seen before. Downtown Houston, a hurricane just skipping through downtown, jumping over a freeway, smashing into a building across from me, and then coming directly towards me, and then turning and going the opposite, the cat corner, and just... And after that, I was like, stupid, you were stupid.
You're so stupid. Anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We need to start getting sound bites.
Anyway. We probably do.
You
We
know.
probably need to do a lot of things to boost up this the episodes and stuff. But anyway,
So if you're watching and gotten this far and you got any ideas, let us know below.
we need
If you
you
got-
to believe us. Anyway, I should be looking.
If you've gotten
Remember-
this, if you've stayed with us and you've gotten this far, David will send you a personal thing on your phone to greet your callers.
It'll probably be something about how multiverses are awful and interconnective tissue is destroying cinema.
Yeah, there you go.
And there you have it, folks.
Right? Yeah.
The catchphrase of the episode.
There you go.
Anyway, but everyone, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Please, down below, tell us what you thought. Have you watched Beverly Hills Cop 4? What do you think about what's going on with James Gunn's DC films? And then if you have a topic you want us to talk about, please put it down below so we'll read it, and then we may put it in another episode. In the meantime, have a great
And if
one.
you have wait. And if you have a topic you don't want us to talk about anymore, send
Keep
us
it to
that
yourself.
too.
Keep it to yourself.
Yeah, keep it to yourself. If you just want to have us keep going like on and on with what we do with the podcast in general, just don't say anything. We'll be all right because if you don't say anything, then we won't know to stop. So yeah. In the meantime, everyone have a great weekend. See you next week. Peace out.